I think Cam Ward's leadership is as impressive as his arm talent. And if you don't think so, I think you're a loser. I'll tell you why on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we are going to talk about the two men who are going to save this franchise, Robert Saleh and Cam Ward. Alontae Taylor, Tennessee Titans cornerback, just had a lot to say about Robert Saleh that I want to discuss that paints him in a pretty positive picture as not only a coach, but a recruiter as well. Also want to talk about all of the different wide receivers and weapons who we now know were at the Titans summer workouts and why that's another example of Cam Ward's leadership, which is in the conversation now based on how he acted after the game against the Cleveland Browns, the Netflix series, and all of that. And it comes down to something very simple for me. If you don't like the way that Cam Ward leads, I think you're a loser. It's that cut and dry. Harsh as it may be, I do not care. That is how I feel. And there are a couple of different things here that just kind of frustrate me. You know, the Titans win against Cleveland. And if you remember, when that happened, we knew that there was something that happened. One of the Titans' local radio hosts got suspended from the team plane for sharing a story about Arden Key going on the intercom system saying, don't listen to Cam, celebrate the win, blah, 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 blah. And at that time, I said the exact thing I'm saying to you now. Arden Key is a loser. That's a loser's mentality. Hey, we won, so everything's good. That is a loser's mentality, especially the way that they finished that fourth quarter in Cleveland. That was unacceptable. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, had a phrase throughout his career there that a lot of people started to roll their eyes at by the time that he was done. But it's the standard is the standard. And just because we won doesn't mean that we can be accepting of below standard. And in my opinion, if Cam Ward went to the Eagles, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, then maybe he wouldn't have to have this mentality. But to save the Tennessee Titans, one of the lowest rated franchises in the NFL with the least amount of good history and superstars. And the Titans are like in college football, they have prestige rankings for schools. The Titans are one of the lowest prestige franchises in the NFL. And to get the Titans out of not only where they are as a franchise, but where they currently sit as a team, back-to-back 3-win seasons, 11 wins in their last 56 games, 58 games, something like that. Not a mathlete. To get the Titans out of the desperate hole that they are in right now, you are going to need someone with Cam Ward's mentality. With this is not good enough. I don't care if we won. This is not good enough. And I will tell you this. For me personally, Cam Ward is a child of the Mamba mentality. The ferocious, obsessive, psychotic work ethic mindset of Kobe Bryant. A child of the Mamba mentality, which quite frankly, I subscribe to myself. You could see the book, other side. I've talked about Kobe Bryant, my first dog, R.I.P., Kobe, named Kobe. I have approached my life, in my opinion, with a Mamba mentality of always striving for perfection, even if it's unattainable, of doing your absolute best at all time and working as hard as you possibly can at every single moment. Never being accepting of less than what you know is your best. And the fact that there are people online criticizing Cam Ward for having that mindset. The fact that there were Arden Keys in the locker room who didn't understand Cam's mindset, get them out. Losing mindset. Losing mindset. And listen, you can wear on people with a mindset like Cam. I know it myself. That constant, it's got to be better. It's got to be. Every single dinner that I eat, every dinner that I make, I criticize after I'm done. It could be delicious. It could be better than any meal that I've ever had at any other place. But I'm going to say, I could have added some parsley. Maybe a squeeze of lime juice. If I would have took the temperature down just a little bit more and cooked just a little longer. Oh, if I would have seared before the braise. Just all these little different things. And, my girl sometimes will be like, it was great. What are you talking about? It was delicious. Yeah, it was delicious, but it could be better. And everything in my being is, how can I make this better? That's what my mind does at all times. That's probably why I'm good at doing this show, because I look at the Titans and I say, how can it be better? That sort of constant critical mindset in pursuit of greatness, some people find off-putting. And quite frankly, I think it's loser mentality. I don't think there's anything wrong with being obsessively driven for greatness. And quite frankly, it is required to be the quarterback that we need Cam Ward to be. It is required. And quite honestly, it's that leadership, in my opinion, more than the arm talent, that is going to get Cam Ward to break out this year, be the guy we need. It's the leadership, how he leads the franchise, how he gets the guys to do what he needs them to do and for them to want to do it. I read a quote one time that said, leadership is getting other people to do what you want them to do with them wanting to do it. That's what a leader is. A boss is somebody who makes you do something. A leader is somebody who inspires you to do something. That is the difference. And Cam Ward can't just tell guys what to do. He has to live in that truth. You can't be a religious leader and be sinning all the time. You got to follow your own word in some way. So Cam Ward's leadership, not the arm talent. The arm talent is incredible, but everybody has arm talent. Can everybody be the leader that Cam Ward is? I don't think so. And Pro Football Focus just named Cam Ward the quarterback for their all breakout team in 2026. And again, it's the leadership that's going to earn him that spot on the list after the season's over. Yeah, I think Cam Ward is going to break out this year. I agree, Pro Football Focus. Good job. I agree. But to earn that spot, to earn that moniker, to actually break out, it's going to be because he's such a good leader. Because a lot of people have arm talent. A lot of people have arm talent. We got a guy on the team right now who's probably got better arm talent than Cam Ward in Will Levis. Levis can throw the ball harder, further, faster, not as accurate, not as precise. The touch throws, this and that. Although Cam Ward needs to work on those too. It's no guarantee. He likes to throw it fast. But the point is, what is going to separate Cam Ward from other quarterbacks in the league isn't going to be arm talent. It's going to be his leadership, getting the guys on the same page, getting his teammates to buy in, getting everybody to fight for the same cause and row in the same direction. Those are the things that make Cam Ward special. And hearing people talk about the leadership and all of that different stuff and all these stories, it gets you fired up. It gets you fired up because you realize he's capable. And again, love that he's on that breakout team, but the reason for it will be the things that we've talked about, not necessarily just he could throw the ball well, which he certainly can do. But again, another part of the leadership has been what he's done this summer. And we've talked about it being a perfect summer for Cam Ward from a leadership perspective. We talked about the summer workouts, but now we got a video from Cam Ward's YouTube account, more in-depth behind the scenes of those workouts. Really awesome video. Encourage you to watch it. I'm going to be reacting live to that video on Monday on the Titans Sleeper podcast account here on YouTube. So check that out if you want to check out that video as I react to it, not just watch it yourself. But we saw a lot more of who was at that throwing session. I'm going to break it down and talk about how each individual guy is set up to really make an impact with Cam Ward. Do want to let you know that support for today's episode comes from Warby Parker. If you're active, you know not all sunglasses are built the same. Whether you're running, golfing, hiking, coaching, or spending a lot of time outdoors, regular sunglasses can slip, bounce, fog up, or make it harder to see clearly when you're moving. Warby Parker Sport was designed to solve those problems with performance features like no-slip nose pads, a wraparound design for wider field of vision, lightweight frames, and contrast-enhancing polarized lenses, all while looking like stylish sunglasses that you actually want to wear every day. Warby Parker took everything people want from performance eyewear and combined it with everyday style and beyond sport. They're also offering prescription glasses, contacts, online eye exams, and more than 300 retail stores across the country, making eye care simple and convenient. The no-slip nose pads are critical to me because my glasses always fall off when I'm moving around outside and sweating. So that is the key feature, in my opinion. But eyewear that's made to move with you right now. Buy one pair of glasses and get 20% off any additional pairs at warbyparker.com/lockedonnfl. That's 20% off any additional pairs when you purchase one pair at warbyparker.com/lockedonnfl. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now with games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually is deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time, the app that's built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive savings opportunities that help you get to events you want without the usual hassle. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. It's the only place I buy my tickets. Football, basketball, baseball, concert, comedy, doesn't matter. I bought it all on Game Time. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, we're talking about Cam Ward's elite leadership. We're going to talk about how that leadership manifested in their summer workouts as we kind of have a full picture of all the people who were involved with the summer throwing session down in Miami. But we're going to talk about Robert Saleh later in the show because Alontae Taylor had some awesome comments about Robert Saleh, and I think we haven't talked enough about the schematic impact that Robert Saleh is going to have on this team. Or we've talked about it, but it's understated. So I want to talk about that. But first, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But at the summer throwing session, Carnell Tate was obviously there. We knew that. I had identified Gunnar Helm, Elikayo Manor, Xavier Restrepo. We had also seen Wan'Dale Robinson in separate videos, but same field, similar outfit. Figured, yep, that had to be Wan'Dale. He was there. So that's 5. And now we know Chim DK was there. Daniel Bellinger was there. KJ Osborne was there. Bryce Oliver was there. And there may have been more. But that's who I saw, who I recognized from the video. And let me just say, Bryce Oliver is pretty funny. He had a lot of things to say. He was pretty funny. But again, Cam getting that many guys, that big of attendance. I mean, that is a massive amount of the skill group that he could realistically be throwing to this year. I mean, even KJ Osborne and Bryce Oliver are out there. Daniel Bellinger came, who's not even a young player. Like, Gunnar Helm and Cam came in together. I could see why that would be a guarantee, but Belly getting out there, and he looks strong, man. He looks strong. But again, it underscores Cam Ward's leadership and how people love Cam. People want to do things with Cam. He's the guy, they're not going to skip his birthday party to throw a draft day reference in there. Bo Callahan getting his birthday skipped by his teammates. Like, that's not going to be a thing with Cam Ward. And I think that it's a small thing, certainly, but the attendance that you saw at those summer workouts, that just kind of tells you all you need about how bought in everybody is to get this thing going. And Cam's been doing other stuff too. Did a little thing on a podcast at a football event. I saw Cam Newton reacting to one of his play calls, talking about how it was just too long, and the offenses need to simplify. Cam just seems to be a summer star right now with the Netflix thing going on and everybody getting kind of an idea. Every single person that I've seen talk about Cam on the Netflix thing says, oh my God, he's so likable. Even Stillman said he finds Cam incredibly likable, even though he hates on him all day long. So Cam watching, I saw somebody making fun of Cam because he watches tape with a keyboard, like literally a whole keyboard. They have like a cowboy clicker type thing that you would think that an NFL quarterback could get his hands on that would make it simpler for him to watch film than literally holding the keyboard in his hand like it's a television remote. But Cam's like, I've had to watch so much film because I didn't know how to watch film when I got to college. And he is like breaking down tape. Like, again, it goes back to the Mamba qualities that we talked about. Cam is such a big Kobe guy too. And it's just clear in his approach that, like, even the way that he was talking to those kids at the camp that he did for Under Armour, he's like, no water breaks. No, you got to do it better. But like, he is not in it for the funsies. Like, Cam is here to take it all, Like, he is going to work as hard as he possibly can. And that's why I'm so bullish on Cam, because his work ethic exceeds his talent. And when you're as talented as Cam Ward is and your work ethic exceeds your talent, you're going places, because that's a deadly combination. It's exactly what you want. But Carnell Tate out there, we know what we need to see from Carnell Tate. Alpha wide receiver. And you see that little video that he released on social media? If not, you got to go find it. I mean, aura, as the kids would say. I'm an old school guy. I like moxie. He's got a lot of moxie. You know what I mean? So Carnell Tate got a lot of moxie, brother. I think that having a guy like Carnell Tate who actually has wide receiver one vibes to him will make everybody else on the team feel better. It will inspire the rest of the team. And Carnell Tate, he looks the part. That's what I'll say. He looks the part. And boy, he does look good in the Titans' new uniform. That's all I know about that. Wan'Dale Robinson was there. I think he's going to get more vertical than people realize, folks. I know he's an underneath slot guy. We think about, option routes, choice routes, quick stuff, moving the chains. But some of the vertical routes they were practicing, he got vertical last year. His yards per catch were higher than they've ever been. So I think we're going to see Wan'Dale get vertical. Having Chim out there, I saw Pro Football Focus. They get it right with Cam, but then they come back and say that Calvin Ridley is the Titans' top target this year. Dude, no, he is not. They want Calvin to have a good year and stay healthy and be an impact, but he is not their top target. He might not even be in the top 3 by the end of the season. Might not be in the top 4 by the end of the season. Tate, Helm, Robinson, and DK could be the top 4 target getters on the team, and I would not have a problem with that. I really do think that Chim DK has a chance to overtake Calvin Ridley, period, anyways. Like, that's on the table if DK develops enough. DK had nearly 500 receiving yards. If he gets more opportunities, he gets a 6, 7, 8. How many yards do we think Calvin Ridley's getting this year? So DK's going to be right there. Io Manor continuing to get better with his route running. He just looks amazing. But it's a big year for Io Manor. I think that his role and his place and how he's viewed in the NFL is on the line. Because if the drops continue, DK progresses, Ridley's still there, he could lose a lot of opportunities very quick. Helm, you guys know how I feel about Gunnar Helm. He's about to break out. He's going to be great this year. Love Bellinger out there, getting all of the dirty work in for the Titans. It's incredible. I love that he made it out there. Again, some of the lower depth chart guys, Osborne, Restrepo, Bryce Oliver, they simply cannot afford. If one of them is there, they can't afford for the other ones not to be there because they're all fighting with each other. So keep fighting. That roster bubble for wide receiver, going to be so incredible to watch. But we've talked enough about Cam. I want to talk about the other man who holds our happiness in his hand for the next 10 months, and that's Robert Saleh. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Udo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. You got one app for accounting. You got another app for inventory. You got another for sales. Somehow, none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales to accounting to inventory to marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working towards the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. And we're getting ready to talk about Robert Saleh, whose entire goal is getting everyone to work on the same page and work towards the same goal. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Again, we're talking about everything that basically happened over the weekend that showed exactly the kind of leader that Cam Ward's going to be, the conversation around his leadership, all of that. But now I want to switch gears and talk about Robert Saleh because I saw some comments from Titans' new cornerback Alontae Taylor over the weekend that I found incredibly interesting, and they paint a great picture of Robert Saleh, which, again, I think is under-discussed right now. So Alontae Taylor said, I had always heard about Coach Saleh, about his players, the success rate, and seeing guys succeed under him. So I always said that's a coach I want to play for one day. He was, I would say, a big reason why I went there. So a couple of different things that we have to take from that. Number one, Robert Saleh's defense is so good, and his success is so good with defensive guys, especially outside cornerbacks. He makes it real easy on the outside cornerbacks to just play physical football. His history of defensive success and what he does for individual defensive players, two things, is one, based on real football. Because Robert Saleh's defenses are so good. It's not like Robert Saleh has a bunch of great defensive players and his defenses are trash. Last year, he had a mash unit and the defense was good. They couldn't get a sack to save their life because of all the injuries, and the defense was good. So the most important part of that comment for Titans fans is that Robert Saleh is going to make this defense incredible. Incredible. That is why I've said throughout, I expect the defense to be the foundation of the team. Robert Saleh is the coach. The defensive line is the most talented position group the Titans have. Second's probably wide receiver. Isn't that crazy? Awesome. But Alontae Taylor wanted to come to Tennessee partly because Robert Saleh's defense is going to be awesome. And we need to keep that in our mind as we get optimistic for this season. Yeah, I have concerns about the O-line, about the talent level of the roster in general, whether they're ready to compete, how guys fit in the system, how guys take to the system, Cam Ward's development, the young players are going to step. There are a lot of questions here, okay? But a major source of the optimism that we feel needs to be coming from Robert Saleh is a defensive savant. He's a defensive mastermind, and he's going to continue to call plays and call his defense and be that defensive mastermind that's been running good defenses for half of a decade in the NFL or longer. So that's one big part of it, is just the reality that Alontae Taylor feels that way because Robert Saleh's defenses are awesome. And then 2, the recruiting aspect. The recruiting aspect of how many players will Robert Saleh get to come to Tennessee because of what Alontae Taylor just pointed out. How many, and he's not even talking about talking to Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh fires guys up. Football players love Robert Saleh because he's just an intense, passionate, focused on the goal guy who's also likable and enjoyable and a regular dude, So whether it be the reality that Alontae Taylor knows that Robert Saleh's defenses are great, or the recruiting aspect of that saying, hey, a big reason why I came here is because of Robert Saleh. The reality of why Robert Saleh can recruit good is the defense, and then the recruitment itself is also the secondary part. Both of those things together, where are you getting that from any other coach that was hired? Stefanski doesn't have pull like that with players. Harbaugh probably might. Players would go play for John Harbaugh, but after his time finished with the Ravens, he runs guys into the ground in practice and makes them practice real hard and all that. So I don't know. Robert Saleh, not saying Robert Saleh isn't going to work the guys hard enough. He will. But I'm just saying I don't know that John Harbaugh is revered from players or liked from players as much as Saleh is without the Super Bowl and things like just pure like, We know Clint Kubiak and Todd Monken ain't pulling like that. So I'm just saying, I think Robert Saleh could be the gem of this hiring cycle. And there are a lot of people out there who think so. And hearing Alontae Taylor say stuff like that, it's hard for me not to think that as well. And when you look at Cam Ward's leadership, which we talked about the first 2 segments, you look at Robert Saleh, what he can do schematically on defense, and then his leadership qualities, how that can manifest in wins, recruiting, the vibe around the franchise, how they're perceived from the public view of things. I'm excited. I don't know. I was excited to do this episode just to talk about Cam Ward, Robert Saleh, good things, optimism. I'm hyped. I'm ready. But training camp next week. Training camp next week. Crazy. We almost made it, folks. But the defensive Locked on Titans training camp preview is going to happen this week. And we did the offense last week, so if you missed that, go ahead and go check it out. But that's going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked on Titans.